Glad to have you with me on another fishing adventure. Temperatures on this starting of spring day are around between 50 and 60 degrees. I'm wearing my new 50 SPF or SPF 50 top. Got a little sunburn, which is typical in Colorado, even with around 50 degrees. Today I am pole fishing over at Bowles Grove Park, and it's a different kind of setup that I have. I'm using an over and under support system, mainly because holding a pole in carp fishing is just too, what should we say, labor intensive. The bonus of having an under and over device is primarily because I can sit back and relax, catch some Z's if I need to, and the way I can respond to a bite is literally by pushing down on the pole and then lifting it up. You'll see this in practice as it goes. Tried something a little different today, doing some underwater shots of netting fish. The first one didn't work out too well, but for the second and third captures it did work quite well. You will see. Fish at this lake are not particularly big, but I would say currently there's other places to fish at the moment, but they're much larger lakes and typically colder for a long period of time. I haven't speeded up anything today. It's just going to be a relaxing fishing day. You'll see as the action there, I'm lifting into a fish, and it works out quite well. This is carp fishing, it's not roach fishing as in England or little silver fishing. The fish tend to really take off with the bait. I'm using yellow elastic Drennon, which is probably good for fish 5 to 8 pounds, which is exactly what's really in this lake, if not smaller. I'm fishing at a spot where the water at the end of my pole, the spot I'm fishing, is about 7 to 8 feet deep. And I'm using yellow elastic and not green because there's the threat of snags to my left, my right, and further out. Good depth of water though enables really not to concentrate too much on what the fish is doing. They can run wherever they want to go. As you can see on the landing net, there is a camera on the top, and as I have already said, it didn't work the first time, but it did for the 2 other fish I caught later on. In the past, when I've done pole fishing here, I've used a long stem float and decided that really isn't the best option because these fish tend to bite, how shall I say, very slightly. It's a very quick little bite. And so with a shorter stem, it's going to disappear and give me the opportunity to strike him with more time. Bait I'm using is either sweet corn or it is classic corn pellets, 8mm, coated with some juice of the same flavour, classic corn. Fishing here at this time of the season is just pure fun. As long as the fish bite, of course. Getting skunked does happen. This is a great lake to hone one's skills. Sometimes I do feeder fishing. Fish here seem to be pretty active. The water is warming up. It's probably 45-50 degrees. It's certainly nice that the weather has changed. For the better. I didn't use the mat for putting the fish on because they're relatively small and not heavy fish, so I just balanced the net on my knees, removed the hook, photographed, because I photograph everything that I catch, and then release. Sometimes I have issues with my cell phone, and so put the fish back in the water, get the camera ready, then take a shot and then release. As you can see, under at the far left and over at the top. Now sometimes it's necessary to alter the height of the over attachment on the front rod rest to have the tip of the pole very close to the water. There's probably no more than, say, 18 inches between the tip of the pole and the short stem float. Some people like to talk about shotting pattern, but very simply, I've got a lightweight float, I've got a number, let me check, I've got a number 1 split shot about 6 inches away from the coram hook with hair. The hook size is a size 12. I'm not using all the sections of the pole, just want to make it so at least I can lift the pole without straining. Wind was blustery at times today, or yesterday, that's when I was fishing. There are times where the float can disappear, but it bobs up so quickly that there's no time to really strike. Things are missed. I did hook a fish during this session and took off like crazy, and my feeling was, unless it was foul hooked, that it was a much bigger fish. but I did lose it. As you saw there, my technique was just to push down on the pole. Out of picture, I do have a roller to keep the rear of the pole off the ground when it's disconnected. I have another rod rest that I'm putting the spares, the sections that I've dismantled into, again to keep them off the ground. Sometimes I have a little difficulty with the camera because I'm literally doing a 4K shot when I've got a fish coming to the net. As usual, no urgency, no rush to get it to the net, just let it play itself out. The camera worked quite well this time, and so shortly you'll see a picture-in-picture of the actual landing of the fish. All fish that I catch, I take a photograph of, doesn't matter how big or how small, although bigger tends to be more fun, of course. This was quite a busy period, and involves, well, I'm not sure, can't remember, is this the one where the fish gets off? Maybe it did. That's what I was talking about earlier, the one that I lost. Shot off to the right. Probably just wasn't hooked properly. For me, fishing with a pole with 7 to 8 feet of line attached to the end is not exactly comfortable. It's about my limit. Using a small hook and small band sometimes makes it a little difficult to get the the pellet on. It was an interesting period. I caught that last fish on a pellet, and then I fished again with pellet, and I was getting quite a few bites. Obviously the lost fish too. This was a new spot for me to fish, and I chose it because I consider that the fish move around the lake. It's not a big lake, and there had to be areas where the fish would move and would appear. So that's why I chose this spot. It seemed to be like a junction of possibly where fish would go in between the island, which is not seen just to my right. Lots of float movement during this time. Little dips, drags, movement. The fish I caught yesterday were not that big. The biggest fish out of here is around 27 inches, which is it's about the 10-12 pound mark. So hooking a fish and not removing the sections of the pole allows one to make an assessment as to how big the fish is before you start stripping the pole. The fish, of course, are pulling against the elastic, so I don't have to look in the direction of the fish all the time, which allows me time to set up the camera on the landing net. Strange reaction from the fish here. It just suddenly wanted to just come in all the way to the net, touched the net and zoomed off like crazy. Although this is the first day of spring, there's very little greenery yet to see. If you look carefully, you can see some green grass shoots, but not much. Third landing net camera shot video comes up fairly shortly. So that that was the third fish of the day. And then it just went totally quiet. Fishing a little bit further out, fishing a little further in. Results were nothing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, condensed down from about 4 or 5 hours down to 23-24 minutes. Have fun out there. Tight lines.